We're going to continue by adding some details down here. We're going to add in this little step type pattern as well as this just diagonal pattern down here and these two rounded out areas. So we're going to go back to our Blender file and we're going to tab into edit mode. One of the first things I kind of want to get rid of is the fact that we have a bunch of edges down here. We don't really need those. So we're going to go over here and do Z for wireframe. We're going to select this vertex, hold Control, right click to select this one, Alt M at last. So now we just have 2 points. And we can adjust these 2 points. Another thing I wanted to do is kind of make this a little skinnier. So we're just going to adjust this until it is a bit skinnier. And you also want to make sure it has the same angle. So from here to here should be like the same. This line should be the same angle as this line, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Another thing we're going to have to do is kind of just do remove doubles on some of these because we have some extra vertices here. So if we select this vertex, Z for wireframe, B to box select, you can see we have 6 vertices there, and we probably have another 6 right here, which will give us 12. So we actually don't really need these vertices. As you can see, it only looks like we have 4 anyway, so we're just going to remove some of these to make things a bit more simple. So just select all these, just do B to box select and select them in wireframe. Then you can do W and remove doubles, and that should remove some of the vertices here. Once that's done, we're going to select this vertex, so it's the one at the end. And we're just going to do G twice and slide this down and do the same with these. We just want to make this part skinnier because the bottom's actually quite a bit skinnier than what we made it. And do the same over here. And we're just going to slowly taper it back to a larger size, so just make these a little bit skinnier too. That looks good. Another thing I'm going to do is select these vertices, and I'm just going to reposition them to be a little closer to this vertex right here. And then do the same for these vertices. The next thing we want to do is add in some vertices over here, so we have 4 to match up with the 4 here. So we're going to go over here, switch to edge select, Z for wireframe if you need to, select this edge. And you're just going to subdivide this and make 2 cuts. So we have, if you've switched to vertex select, you can see we have 4 vertices here. That's what we want. Now we're going to switch to vertex select. We're going to go over here and we're going to select this one, hold Control, select this one, do Alt M at last. Then we're going to select these 2 edges, do delete and dissolve edges. Select this edge, do subdivide, change the number of cuts to 2. Vertex select, select these 2, J to join, these 2, J to join. Now we can select this vertex and then go to the other side, select the second vertex, J to join, select this one, go back to this side and select this one and J to join those as well. Now we're going to go to front view by pressing 1 in the number pad. We're going to do Control R, left click, and drag this over. You want this to be a little bit to the right of this area, so you want it to be about here. So you just use Q to slide it over, make sure it's a little bit to the right. That should be fine right there. We're going to do Control R again. We're going to left click and drag it over right next to it. So you want this one to be pretty close to it. You can move it even a little closer if you want. Then what we're going to do is slide all these down so we have an angle downward. That's what we want for this part. So we're going to do G twice and just slide these down. I'm also going to go back to the other side and I'm going to slide these down a little bit more. Try to make this sort of an even thickness if you can. I think mine's a little thicker on this side, so I'm going to do G twice and just slide these down a little bit so it's a little bit thinner on this side to match up with the other side. Then we're going to select this vertex and we want to select the entire set of vertices along here. So we're just going to hold Control and right click to select this one as well. So you should have all the ones along this bottom part selected. And then we're going to do E to extrude and right click to cancel, and we're just going to bring this back some. We're going to do Control R, we're going to left click and drag it over to the right. We want to bring this over pretty close to this edge right here, and then we're going to switch to face select, select this face, E to extrude, right click to cancel, bring this up, and bring it over as well. You want to again try to match the angle of this. So you want it to have the same angle here. Then we're going to switch to edge select, and we want to bring this edge inward. And we can also bring this other edge a bit inward if we want as well. And probably up some to try to make this a bit flatter. You can bring it up on the z-axis if you want. I'm just going to bring mine down some more so it's a little bit smaller. Once we're done with that, we're going to go back over here and we're going to select this vertex. We're going to do E to extrude, right click to cancel, and we're going to bring this up on the z-axis. Then we want to start creating our curvy shapes. So we're going to do E to extrude, right click to cancel. We're going to bring this back on the y-axis. We're going to bring it over on the x-axis. We're going to bring it back a bit further than that. And then we're going to do E to extrude, right click to cancel, bring it back again quite a bit and over some. Actually, probably not quite that far back. Something like that should be fine. Then we'll do E to extrude, right click to cancel, and we'll bring this back again. We're going to try to make it angled more towards this corner. And then E to extrude, right click to cancel, and we're going to bring this in this direction. So we want to bring this over like this. What you kind of want to do with this is have it so that these two are kind of parallel, like from here to here is kind of parallel. From here to here is parallel to this. That's kind of what you want to do here. So that looks relatively okay to me. Now we're going to add in some new points with Control R. So just do Control R, left click, right click, Control R, left click, right click. And then you're going to want to adjust these on the Y and X axis and just kind of make them a little bit more curved. You can adjust this point again if you want, try to bring this out some and maybe back a little bit. We're just going to make some changes to this, and then we're going to do Control Shift and B to do Vertex Bevels and try to get the curvature that we're looking for both of these parts. Then we're going to select this vertex on the end, and we're going to hold Control and select this vertex here. Then we're going to do E to extrude, right click to cancel. We want to grab it on the z-axis, hold Control and snap it to this point. So the point we're snapping to is this point right here. Then you want to do E to extrude, right click to cancel, grab it on the z-axis and snap it to the point just below that. So we snap to this one first and then this one. Now we want to take these four, press F to fill it in, and then take these four, press F to fill that in as well. We're going to do Control R here, we're going to do left click, right click, then we're going to select this bottom vertex, go to the other side, hold Control, right click to select the other bottom vertex, then do delete and choose vertices. Then we're going to go back to this side, we're going to select these two vertices here, and then go to the other side. And we actually want to add in edge loops here, so we're going to do Control R, mouse wheel up once, left click, right click. Then we're going to select these two vertices and then go back to the other side and select these two vertices, then press F to make a face. We're going to go back to this side and we want to select the three vertices on top here. So select these three right here. And then these three over here, do Shift and Q to do bridge edge loops, or go to Mesh Edges and Bridge Edge Loops. Then we're going to go back over here, and we want to add in another edge loop right here because this part joins over to this corner, but it joins up a little bit before the end of this corner. So we're going to do Control R, left click, and slide this down. Now we're going to select the two vertices on the bottom, so we're going to select these two. And we're going to go over to this corner, and we're going to do the same. We're going to select the two on the bottom, then press F to make a face. We're going to alt-right click on this bottom edge, and then deselect the vertices up here, and do F to make a face. Then we can alt-right click on this middle edge loop, and do F to make a face. So now we have more of a step, like it goes over, goes up a little bit, then comes back over. We can change the normals on this if we want by doing Z for wireframe, and just selecting this area and doing Control N to recalculate the normal so this looks a little better. Another thing we want to do is kind of make this angled the same as this is angled. So we can select these vertices and just bring them down and over some, and probably not in that direction. You want to keep the same angle here. So we're going to bring some of these down as well, just to keep that angle, and bring this down some. We're also going to Alt-right click here and just bring this back to kind of line up better with our model right here. And then reposition these a bit more just to match up more nicely with that. Now we're going to go into edit mode. We're going to switch to face select and select this face. Do Y to separate it into a separate piece. We're going to do Shift H to hide everything else. We're going to go to create and we're going to choose a plane. We're going to delete 2 of the vertices, so switch to vertex select. Select 2 of them, do delete and choose vertices. Then we're going to select these 2 and do P and choose selection to separate the selection into a different object. We're going to go to object mode, select this new object, tab into edit mode. A to select everything, 7 for top view. G to move it into position. We're going to do S to scale this out a bit. You can make it bigger, that's fine. Then you can do R to rotate this. We want to rotate this sort of like this. That's probably going to be okay. Then we're going to add a modifier, so go to the modifiers tab, add modifier, choose array. Change the count to 8. Tab into object mode so you can see your array modifier. Left click and drag on this top value. You can do shift and left click and drag to adjust it more slowly. And I'm going to adjust the angle of this by going into edit mode, doing R to rotate it. So the way this is supposed to be is you're supposed to have 2 that are connected to this part, and then the rest of them are connected down here, and it needs to go all the way to the end. So we actually need to bring this out a lot more until the end one is very close to the end of this tip. There's not much space on this last one. So something like that's probably going to be okay. Once you're happy with it, you're going to hold shift and right click to select this object, tab into edit mode, so you should still have these lines in red, and we should only have this piece right here at the moment. We're going to go to face select, select this face. After selecting this face, we're going to switch to edge select. Then we're going to do knife project, and if you want to, just do cut through just to be sure everything's going to be done correctly. Then we're going to select these edges here, and we're going to do Control B to do a bevel. So just do a small bevel on this. You can hold shift to move more slowly if you want to make smaller adjustments. Then we're going to select every other edge, so you want this one on the inside, and then hold shift and get all the other ones that are on the right side, I guess you could call it. And we're going to take these and we're just going to bring them down some. So you're just going to bring them down on the Z-axis to create that sort of step look. Now we can do Alt-H to unhide everything. I'm going to tab into object mode, select this object, do H to hide it, go to create and choose plane, tab into edit mode. I'm going to do 7 for top view, S to scale this down, G to move it into position, and just continue scaling it and moving it. We're going to scale this down pretty far on the X-axis, so you can do S and then X and scale it down quite a bit. Then do S and Y and scale it up a lot so that we have a lot more stuff to work with. So we're going to position it about here. That's probably going to be alright. And you may want to have it a little skinnier by doing S and then X. Then add an array modifier and change the count to something high like 40. Hold shift, left click and drag to make this go out a bit more. And just continue doing that. We want this to cover this entire area here, so this little face area is what we're trying to fill with these bars. So we want to try to also get it all the way over to there, so we want to get it pretty far out just to make sure that it covers this entire area. So just hold shift and slowly adjust this value, and you can even adjust this value too so that it's a bit more angled. That looks to be about right to me. So I'm going to go to object mode just by pressing tab, and then I'm going to click apply on this. And what we want to do is just move, I'm going to move this up just a little bit, but what we want to do is snap it to those faces there, or that face point there. So we're going to tab into object mode, select this object, tab into edit mode, go to face select and select the face that we want to snap to, so it's this face here. We're going to do Shift D to duplicate, right click to cancel, P to separate it, and choose selection. We're going to select this object here, the one we just separated. We're going to tab into edit mode, do A to select everything, and bring it up on the Z axis. We're going to use this to cut out a shape in all these so that we have a similar area. So we're going to tab into object mode, and we're going to hold shift and then right click to select this piece. 7 for top view, tab into edit mode, go to tools and do knife project. You can do cut through if you want, just to make sure that it cuts through everything. You should be in face select when you do this, so it selects the faces that are in that area. Then you can do Control I and then delete and choose faces. So now this has a similar shape to the shape of this, which is what we want. So now we're going to do tab to go into object mode. We're going to select this object, tab into edit mode. Again, we're going to select this face, do Shift D to duplicate, right click to cancel, P to separate, and choose selection. This time we're going to use it to snap to it. So now we're going to tab into object mode, select this object, and then add a shrink wrap modifier, select the target, and you want to select plane 05. In this case, it should be that plane that's right there. And once you do that, you should see that it snaps nicely to those faces right there. We're basically done with this piece, so you can select it in object mode, do delete, and choose delete. And then we're going to select this piece again, and we can apply the shrink wrap modifier. Just make sure this is on nearest surface point when you're doing this, and it should work fine. It should look just like this. Then you can apply this in object mode, just apply this modifier. Tab into edit mode, A to select everything, E to extrude, right click to cancel, and just bring it up slightly. At this point we're done with that other piece that we created, so just right click it in object mode, so you should have this little piece. And then you can just delete it and confirm it by pressing. And now we're just going to save it by going to File and Save. Thank you to our awesome Patreon supporters. If you'd like to become a Patreon supporter yourself, head on over to patreon.com/StephenBrooks. Thank you for your support.